Okay, there's a lot of stuff that we need to fix in bentopy today, so let's start with that. Yesterday I was cleaning up my auto charge thing, and that honestly, I don't know, I left it off here, so we broke the function out into separate module, and now we kind of want to either rename the entire thing so that charge auto becomes purely dash dash neutralize. Let me quickly check something else. Yeah, so as I suspected, mm, yeah, yeah. So I've been thinking about the wording of this flag. The thing is that in GMX Genion, you use the dash neutral flag. That's actually fine. I like neutralize in a way because it implies an action that is performed, but I actually think that maybe congruency with GROMAX lingo is maybe preferred here. Also, neutral is a bit shorter. But then the question is, then we get bentopy-solvate neutral, maybe with the argument of like KCl, for example, if you don't want to use sodium or sodium chloride, you can use potassium chloride, for example. But yeah, that's okay. But then do we still need the charge thing? The whole thing is you can perfectly emulate charge with integer count. So say like charge minus 100 would literally do this. It's the same thing. So yeah, let's just try it and see whether we enjoy it. I think that's a pretty good strategy. So we're going to actually get rid of charge at all in the first place. So that is also, it's quite a breaking change from how things have worked before. But that's okay because we're heading to bentopy 1.0. Then neutral becomes a charge config. That's not the case anymore because then we need purely an optional. Yeah, that's the thing. I need to look up quickly how you manage optional. A flag with an optional value is what I want to know. So there's the question of whether it's set or not. Yeah, so in GROMAX Genion, what you do is you do p name and n name for the neutral and the positive name. I don't know. I use a slightly different paradigm in most of my command line applications where you couple the data into a string, usually colon separated. That's what I like. I mean, in the type system, we need to represent that as option option, which sucks, but yeah, and then with option option string string. So the positive and the negative ion. Is this a thing? I don't think so. No. Let's consider what's smartest here. In a way, it's a good interface, right? What GROMAX does. But we have this notion of substitutions. In a way, we are a bit more explicit about how it internally operates. I mean, we could still go for, yeah, that's the thing. What if we just go for charge? Because now it's called, the thing is called auto. But maybe we call that neutral. We call this neutral. We need to document it here. Let's just head for that right now, and then we can move on, and then we can always change it later. You can either by providing the neutral value or by passing, let's just make it explicit like this. The total system charge will be determined automatically. This requires a topology to be, or this requires a topology. The charge to be neutralized can also be set explicitly by providing an integer let's do it like this. Not even on a best effort basis anymore. It's actually really sound as far as I have been able to test. Yes, and this still works. Yeah, perfect. I think that's much better. This seems weird. Perfect. So now auto doesn't exist anymore. Now we do neutral. And this will take a little bit, only a couple seconds. It's only a whole cell. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm solvating here against a much smaller model because then this, I mean, this doesn't take too long, but the writing to def null or to something else doesn't take too long. But actually parsing this whole topology, this topology is massive. It's huge. Let me quickly. Yeah, it's very big. So that's great. I know, that's reword. I was wondering whether I wanted to fold it into another change, but this is good. Rename charge auto to charge neutral. Perfect. Then that is practically done. I mean, we got to change some documentation. So do we also document this? Compensate the charge of pack.grow. So maybe you should say neutralize or add additional ions to neutralize the charge of pack.grow. And then instead of add, we say substitute or make additional ion substitutions to neutralize the charge of pack.grow based on the provided topology. And then here, solvate the structure in pack.grow with martini waters. And output the result to solvate.grow. The number of added waters and ions will be appended to the top. I know it's a bit awkward that the sentence comes at this moment, but let's see what this is like. The top part should go last, I think. Okay, may revisit this, but that's okay. Then we have to update, let's see, solvate. With solvate, large boxes can be solved quickly and conveniently. There's a one-step ion substitutions. With ion substitutions, I want to express how solvate is cool because you put the waters there and the ions there in the same step. It makes it very memory efficient. So right, and I actually have to provide the topology. Then we need to change this, and I always like to wrap this very precisely, so you kind of need to, let's see, proto run. Oh, that's not good. This is the only part that changed. I love documentation. Charge. Such a cool feature. Such a shame that it's not wrapped by clap itself. That's great. That's really good. Let's see, do we have any references to Makes sense. Wait. Now onto the README. Onto the wiki, I'm sorry. Why do you use the word neutrality? This is not even true anymore. I actually really stand behind this. It's not even just best effort anymore, I think. And I definitely should consider cases where it doesn't manage to do this, it are just simply bugs. So it's not a, I don't know, I can't really say this because we can make an even stronger claim, I feel. The included topologies to ensure perfect neutrality. I don't like neutrality here. To ensure total system while we're at it, I want to make this little change here. Learn more. Or rather, this should probably work fine. Just don't really like how it looks in the current wiki, so. Here, first we make this change, so I didn't select that earlier block. Perfect. Get commit. Let's amend that. Yeah. Make the advanced render usage in example 1. Earlier. Yeah, we can push this. Then we head back. So now we're in the bentopy tree again. And now I want to go Just want to rebase this. Perfect. And let's push this. Go crazy. Let's see what our changes looks like. Should this be bib tags? I'm curious. Let's try that. That's cool. That's not that much better, but it's fine. Maybe we should actually update that document further. Okay, that appears up to date. Cool. Let's see. There's a bunch more for us to do. There always is. But tonight, Jan found an issue that I was already aware of yesterday, which is not good, and has to do with my parser for the bent format, and I can reproduce it quite easily. Let's say we have something like should work.bent, and we have a space, whatever dimensions is 10 by 10 by 10. Then our resolution 0.5. We have compartments. Space is all, so the entire space. Don't care about that. Segments. 0 main should work. It's a valid identifier for our little language here. But it does not work. And it has to do with our parser, and it may be tricky to resolve, but it's very important. So then we say something like name. Also curious whether this would not work, but then we can look into that later. We have something like cute. Cool, so that's a complete bent file. Let's cargo run in bentopy back. I typoed it. What the fuck? Why does this work? Oh, so I think the issue is starting to become clear to me. There it is. Yeah. This should work. Okay. So we have just properly name and then 0, 0, ABC. That also doesn't work. So it definitely has to do with the way that it handles identifiers. Can even do bentopy validate. It's actually more appropriate here. I'm sorry. Init, still don't love that naming. Validate. And then if we show, can we show tokens? I don't remember, what is it? Show tokens? Bentopy show tokens. I would have expected that to show that it got 10 tokens, but there we are. That's a bit dumb, but anyway. Um, yeah, so here we can see that it takes this as an integer and then takes this as a word. That's the problem. Let's try to wrap our heads around why this could be. We don't need the parser, we need the lexer. It's a lexer issue. Oh, this may actually be the case by now. That's cool. But not relevant right now. And let's first make a test, actually. So currently, this is not caught by testing. So we first make a 0 prefix. This should work, I think. 0 int prefix. Yeah, so the 0 int prefix, that one failed. So now we know what to look for. And let's see. So this is our number notion. I don't know. I think so I'm using Chomsky inlay hints are fucking garbage. It may be that it binds a number more strongly. This will be a thinker, and it will not be very fun to look at, probably. But we're going to try it anyway. No leading zeros are permitted. Does that trick us here? I think it does to some extent. Actually. Let's just implement it. Probably easy to implement, right? Any, check if it's a digit, provided the first one is not 0. Then any digit. Okay, let's make our own shitty version. Wait, now I'm confused. How does this work again? Ah, this is based on cars. And then to slice. Yeah, perfect. It's been a bit since I touched this parser, you can tell. We can also just copy over that code and then see whether we can tweak it to our needs. Just so we know our radix will be 10, I guess. Yeah, I don't feel like putting all this in. Let's look at this signature here. This should be a car. This we will remove. This we are going to comment out. This becomes a car. This will comment out. Oh wait, I think I know what I did wrong, but we'll see. Is it just, yeah, how do you make a nice spanned token out of that? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but then the thing is, this will actually do the spanning for us. So then what we can do is we just create a token. The spanning happens once it recognizes a bit. Yeah, it should then be parsable, so then we can just unwrap. Cool, that's very nice. So then we use let integer is integer, then give us that. Maybe box it, call it int, right? Then we comment this out. Oh. Now it's fucking with us. So we're either making an... Oh, okay. So it's going to wrap that in a number integer like this. So what it should give back is a number. There we are. Oh, something went wrong. Okay, let's see. What does float give us? F64. Oh yeah, that's the thing. We should actually just provide an actual honest to God U64? I don't know. That should not be the case, right? Yeah, I mean it is, because in our case here, an integer, a negative number will be treated as a float in this case. It's a whole thing. We distinguish between counts and natural numbers, or and reals basically. That's the thing. So here we're properly able to do this. Then this is good. Whoa, it appears like it's actually type checking. And now all of them fail. Let's see. You know what's cool? Our 0 int prefix still does not work. But our 0, 0, or our 0 prefix does work, I think. Yeah, so then now we need to declare that an integer should always not be followed by other identifier characters. Let's try to do that here. No, that won't work. Basically this bit. Wait, actually it should work. You can just drop this in here. There we are. Only one error left. And you know what the funny thing is? It's still the case that we weren't able to deal with. Wait, or is it? Did I just make a typo in the test? What? Yeah, this should hold up. You guys, we did it. So, it's kind of hard for me to explain why I had this strong feeling that this was actually the issue. But that's kind of the thing with this type of parser in my experience, and maybe even especially so in my experience with Chomsky, which is the parser combinator library I use. Chomsky is amazing. I love this library, and it allows me to write really good parsers, and I'm very proud of the parser I wrote. It's also interesting because it's quite tricky to wrap your head around, and I feel like I've had experience with other parser combinator libraries that I found less tricky to deal with. On the other hand, I find Chomsky easier to use, so I don't know what that means per se. Anyway, I can definitely recommend the library for many kinds of projects, but it's a mindset to get into. Okay, so I'm quite happy because everything still tests well, which I'm really happy about. Let's see if our cargo run no problems. Now we do bentopy show tokens through. Yeah, so this is now properly a word. This is also now properly a word, which makes sense. Let's, yeah, it just works now. Does it also work if we have I mean, this, I didn't properly fix the test, but yeah, but it did parse it correctly. Okay, very happy about that. How about trailing numbers? I think that should also be properly checked. Lovely. How about surrounding numbers? Beautiful. Okay, now let's fix up our code. This, we're actually going to breathe life into again. What we're going to do, I reckon, it's actually maybe worth it to consider whether we can nicely handle the errors here. How do we currently deal with error cases? So this should, for example, I mean, we don't actually deal with that here. Because then it just doesn't know what it is, right? That's the error. We're not parsing directly, we're first lexing it. Right, first we're determining what the things are, and then we're deciding what the things mean together. So that means that when we don't know what something is, we can never assign a meaning to it. And the meaning should not, like the expected meaning should not, in my book, here, I mean, that's easier, right, to write, so that's why we went for that, but the surrounding context should not to a great extent or at all inform how we should actually consider a particular token too much. So I don't know whether this is actually cursed. To me, it now makes sense, but I don't know. To past me, it didn't. Thing is, when I wrote this whole parser, I had a fever, and I think you can tell. It works really well. So we need to change out this little bit. Thing is, this now should be the same as this. And it sure isn't. What the fuck? That's quite surprising to me. Why did that happen? So then we take, let's just remove this for now. So it's a digit followed by a digit repeated. It should be the same as any filter digit repeated. Just doesn't work. Well, this does. I'm surprised by that. Why is that? Oh, the thing is, there's a bunch of cases where there's only a single digit. And repeated actually I don't know actually. Yeah, it's at least one. Oh, that's it. The at least one is implied here. So now if we do dot repeated dot at least one, there we are. This still works, hopefully. Keep jumping the gun. So now I honestly kind of want to just take this and say Great. Hey, we actually did this. Why did I deal with that? Point is, we want to accept 0 prefixed integers and the text int, the kind of standard library Chomsky parser does not like that. There we are. Now I can tell my friend Jan that it works again. So let's grab the commit here so I can show him the work. Actually, this one. Beautiful. Yeah, let's cut this video here because I'm going to have lunch. But this was very nice and productive. Yeah, that took about an hour, and what we did was merge this change, and we did some documentation work, and then we fixed a nasty problem. There's another very nasty problem that we need to fix, but yeah, cool. Bye.